Take two identical bookshelves, same wood, same screws, same 45 minutes of assembly. One goes to a person who builds it themselves, alone, following the instructions step by step. The other arrives fully built, no effort required, to someone else. Ask both people afterward what their shelf is worth. By any rational measure, the person who built theirs should value it less. They spent an hour of real labor to end up with the exact same object the other person got for free. Instead, the opposite happens every time. The builder pays more for it, defends it harder, and holds onto it longer, even when a stranger looking at both shelves side by side can't tell which one took the hour. Researchers gave this a name in 2012, and it's not a flattering one for a giant furniture company, the IKEA effect. And the real story behind that name, where it actually comes from, and what the experiments behind it found, gets a lot stranger than a bookshelf. Before we get to those experiments, it's worth knowing where the name actually comes from, because the real story isn't a company figured out how to trick you. In 1956, an IKEA draftsman named Gillis Lundgren had just designed a low wooden table and needed to get it to a catalogue photo shoot. It didn't fit in the back of his car, so sitting in a parking lot, he unscrewed the legs, laid them flat next to the tabletop, and drove off. That accident is the actual origin of flat-pack furniture. Not a psychological strategy, just a man solving a trunk space problem. IKEA kept doing it afterward because it was cheaper to ship and store, full stop. The psychological effect and the company's actual business reasoning are two completely separate stories that happen to share a name. The name comes from a study by Michael Norton at Harvard Business School, Daniel Moshon, and Dan Ariely at Duke. Their first experiment used plain IKEA storage boxes. Nothing customizable, no creative decisions, just following the instructions. Afterward, the builders and a separate group who'd only examined an already assembled identical box were both asked to bid on what the box was worth to them. The builders bid roughly 63% more. Not for a better box, for the literal same box, with nothing added except their own labor. That was strange enough with furniture, so the researchers tried something with zero practical value at all: paper. They handed people who'd never folded origami in their life a sheet of paper and instructions for a crane or a frog, and, by the researchers' own account, what came out the other end was usually pretty ugly. Lopsided, crumpled in places it shouldn't be. Builders valued their own creation at 23 cents. A separate group of non-builders, looking at that same rough, crooked object, were only willing to pay 5 cents for it. The builder's price was nearly 5 times higher. And here's the detail that gives away what's actually happening inside someone's head. Another group of non-builders was shown a beautifully folded crane made by an actual origami expert and bid 27 cents for it, almost exactly what the builders thought their own lopsided version was worth. The builders weren't looking at a badly folded frog. They were looking at a frog folded by someone who clearly knew what they were doing. That someone happened to be them. A skeptic might say, fine, but maybe people just secretly believe their own object turned out better than everyone else's. So the researchers ran an experiment designed specifically to rule that out. Pairs of strangers each built an identical Lego set. Same pieces, same instructions, same design. No room for anyone's build to actually be superior. Afterward, each person bid on both their own set and their partner's. People paid an average of 54 cents for the one they'd built themselves, and only 33 cents for the identical one their partner had built. Same object, same materials, same instructions. The only difference was whose hands had assembled it. Which raises an obvious question. What happens if those same hands unassemble it again, right before the money's on the table? There's one detail from that same experiment that gets left out almost every time this study comes up, and it's the detail that actually explains why any of it happens in the first place. Some of those pairs weren't just asked to build their Lego set. Right after finishing and right before bidding, they were told to take it apart again. The moment that happened, the gap between mine and my partner's vanished completely, not smaller. Gone, same person, same set of plastic pieces, reassembled or not, and the entire premium disappeared the instant there was nothing finished left to point to. And this wasn't a one-off fluke of a single Lego study. In a completely separate experiment, using plain storage boxes again, some participants were allowed to finish assembling theirs, while others were stopped just short of the final 2 steps, with every remaining piece sitting right in front of them, ready to go. The finishers bid nearly 2.5 times more than the almost finishers. And when the researchers checked whether this only applied to people who already thought of themselves as handy, the answer was no. People who rated themselves as the least do-it-yourself showed exactly the same jump in value once they'd actually finished the box as people who loved building things. The love was never about being naturally good with your hands. It was about effort that ends in something you can point to and call finished. This idea, that manufactured effort can be sold back to people as extra value, didn't wait around for a 2012 study to get used. There's a famous marketing story about instant cake mix from the 1950s. General Mills supposedly discovered that housewives felt too guilty using a mix that only needed water added, so the company deliberately pulled the powdered egg out of the recipe, forcing people to crack a real one themselves, and sales took off. It's a perfect, tidy origin story for exactly what we've just been describing. It's also not quite true. Fact-checkers who went back to the actual historical record found no evidence General Mills removed the egg for that reason, and Pillsbury's competing mix, which never changed its formula at all, sold just as well over the same stretch of years. What actually moved sales wasn't the egg, it was a shift in the advertising itself, which stopped describing a cake mix and started describing a cake, a finished personal achievement you pulled off in your own kitchen, egg or no egg. The myth gets the exact mechanism wrong, but it accidentally proves the real point anyway. The moment a product lets you feel like you made something, instead of just opened something, people value it differently, whether or not a single ingredient actually changed. You can see the same logic running through a lot of what gets marketed to you right now. Meal kit delivery services that have you do the actual cooking with pre-measured ingredients. Build your own furniture, build your own gaming PCs. None of it strictly needs your hands in it. But a finished product you never touched is just an object sitting in a room. A finished product you built is evidence of yourself. The reason this works, according to the very researchers behind the original study, traces back to something older and simpler: cognitive dissonance. When you invest real effort into something, your mind resists the idea that the effort might have been wasted, so it does the easiest available thing. It quietly upgrades its opinion of the result to match the effort you already spent. This isn't unique to furniture or paper cranes. In 1959, psychologists Elliot Aronson and Judson Mills ran a study where college students had to go through an initiation to join what they were told was an ongoing discussion group. Some went through no initiation at all. Some went through a mildly embarrassing one. Others went through a genuinely uncomfortable one, reading explicit material out loud to a stranger. Every single person then listened to the exact same recording of the group's discussion, and the researchers had deliberately made that discussion as flat and boring as possible. The people who'd gone through the hardest, most humiliating initiation rated that same dull recording as the most interesting and worthwhile. Nothing about the discussion changed, only the size of what they'd already paid to get there did. It's the identical mechanism running on a completely different kind of currency. Not labor this time, but embarrassment, which is worth sitting with for a second, because this isn't only about bookshelves, paper frogs, and college initiations. The same wiring is what makes it hard to walk away from a relationship, a job, or a project the moment real time and effort has gone into it. Not because it's actually good for you, but because your mind has already quietly upgraded its value to match everything you've poured in. And remember the one condition that turns the whole effect off completely. It only survives on things that got to the end. Which means the version of this that should actually concern you isn't the bookshelf you're proud of. It's the thing you still haven't let yourself walk away from, purely because stopping now would mean admitting the effort never finished into anything at all. So the next time you catch yourself defending something a little harder than the plain facts would justify, a purchase, a decision, a relationship, maybe even a bookshelf, ask yourself what you're really defending, the thing itself or the hour of your own life you already put into it. If you want more of this kind of thing, subscribing costs you nothing, and it's genuinely the only reason a small channel like this one gets to keep making them.